Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to talk about derailers. It'll be a three-part series because I wanted to break up derailing into three components. One is before work, one is during work, and one is after work. Derailers are the biggest, opponent to you finding your groove, right? To consistently be the person you want to be. There's always going to be some type of distraction. And so I wanted to talk about how to avoid those and also how to use those to help you. They actually can be, distractions can actually be very helpful if you know how to use them. So let's start with the beginning of the day. You wake up in the morning, and most people, what they'll do is they'll grab their phone or prepare themselves for the day by reading the news. The news is the biggest derailer, and I'm going to say something that hopefully isn't as controversial as I think it's going to be, but let me just say it. The news is going to put a chip on your shoulder. It's going to make you see the world a certain way that morning. It may make you feel negative. It make you feel worked up. It get you worked up. It may make you feel as if there's lots of issues and trouble in the world. Not that there's not, but it'll get you to feel sort of oppressed before the day even starts. Then you have to get on the train or you get in your car and then traffic and everything like that. But let's just start with the news. So you might wake up thinking, going to work going, with this President Trump, and I'll use Americans as an example, this President Trump, as long as he's president, the world's in a terrible place, or climate change or poverty or whatever it is, it's really going to consume you. Now, let's talk about the news for a minute, right? How many times has any news article you've ever read had an impact on you? Literally on you. Now, for the sake of argument, yeah, the stock market, has impact on me, that type of thing. But really, how much of the news can you really react to? You hear about the stock market. What do you want to do? Take out your billions from the market and invest billions? None of us have that kind of money. Really, how much of the news really is worthy? Let's put it that way, is worthy of the investment you put into it? None of it. Zero, almost zero if you consider the massive amount of news you read in the day. I'll go back, and this is the controversial thing. I'll talk about 9/11, 20 years ago. And in the wake of 9/11, there was lots of news about terrorism. There's lots of news about fear, a lot of news about how the world was, global war and et cetera. And there's been lots of war. But on a personal level, how have you been affected, right, by the way the news presents the issues, right? Like, have you been attacked by terrorists? Have you been blown out of the sky? Have you been a victim of a terrorist, attack? Probably not. Not most of you. Some of you probably have, and that's a serious thing. But most of you haven't. What I'm trying to get at is that the news, because it's not the news itself. I'm not saying the news is the enemy, but we let this information own us rather than us owning that information. So let me be honest. You get some bad news, or you're upset about something. You go out and you tweet about it. How does that change anything? How does that get people? If you want to change the world, really, what it does is just piss off people. People who are on your side are going to be on your side. People who you need to help you, some of them not on your side, aren't going to be changed by a tweet, right? The same rule applies. You go out there and you understand what are the problems and the issues people are facing, and you see how you can plug yourself into that. It's that credibility with others that's going to change the way people think. It's going to change the way the world is. That's what does it. Not you allowing these distractions to own you, but by you saying, oh, look, these are the distractions most of the world is dealing with. And then you use that knowledge to then understand the world around you, the environment, the mindset of people around you, but don't let it own you. I'll give you an example of a technical solution here. If you're an IT person, you should IT the hell out of your day, right? You should be providing solutions and being the change you want to be in the world. I have a colleague, a very, very good friend of mine. I won't say his name because I don't know whether he agrees with my politics or not as far as what I'm sharing here. But anyway, if you know me, you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, he's an amazing example of a clear-headed thinker and a leader. Great guy, great fellow. But I think politically we are very, very different. Just different. We've had conversations where we have shared our thoughts on the world, and it's very apparent that we come from different perspectives, even though we both are black and we're both from America and from the South, very different. But he and I have never argued about things. Like, he was supportive of Hillary. I was supportive of anyone who wanted to change the planet. I think I supported Bernie as far as if I had to support anyone, it would have been him. But we never fought about it. We actually never even talked about it. It never came up because, frankly, my goal wasn't to change his mind. His goal wasn't to change mine. We were friends. We're sharing our thoughts. But the reason we didn't fight isn't because we look alike or whatever. It was because we respected each other. I mean, literally, when I worked with him, I could see the value he added. He added it to the world around him, the people around him. He's just a great guy. And for me, the same. I didn't go around trying to change his opinion. I listened to him. I respected him because I was using those same techniques I use all the time. It's not about arguing with someone, making someone feel bad. It's really about saying, okay, this is the problem in someone's life. This is how I can add value, by being positive or by being a listener or by being just myself, so to speak. But we've never fought. Now, what that means is, I'm not saying he would ever vote for me if I ran for office, but I'm more in than I am out when it comes to influence on another person. Now, I use him as an example because he is a Black American, like myself, and we're different, and we don't fight about these type of things. But there are people who are white conservatives or Middle Eastern radicals, etc., whom I know, and we don't discuss or fight about the news because that's the news owning us. We become pawns of that rather than, drivers of our own goals and direction. So anyway, what I'm trying to get at is you read the news in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, you have your coffee, you're reading the news. Use it to understand why people support or don't support something. Listen to the comments. I know people don't like doing that, but read the comments. People fear, right? Or they're worried about otherness, or they're worried about difference, or they're worried about losing their job, or they're worried about being threatened, etc. Understand what the fears people are dealing with. What is in other people's minds? Because most people are going to be reacting to the news. They're going to be pawns of it. So understand what is controlling them. Understand what Kool-Aid they're drinking. It gives you power. Remember in the first week I talked about information. Information shouldn't be something that uses you. You use information, right? And by using information, you, rather than reacting to the world, you're creating it. You're creating the world. You're going out there and you're solving problems, right? In your own little way, one problem at a time. I want to give a shout out to someone though, Tiffany Jana. I want to give a shout out to her because I follow her on Instagram. And one thing I notice in her Instagrams is that it's all about what she's doing. It's all about who she is, about her family. It's about her work. It's not about politics. And I have a feeling, I think I know what her politics are, given, what she shared it from time to time. But that's an example of just being yourself. Some people may be turned off. Some people may be turned on. It doesn't necessarily matter. But the reality is, by being who you are, you're going to influence people much better than trying to, when you're reacting to something. You're now playing someone else's game. And as anyone who's taken any of my seminars knows, the moment you play someone else's game, you lose. So that's part one, starting your day. Read the news to gain information, not to become a pawn of it, so that you can then go into your day with information and equipment to go out there and make a difference. I'll get to talking about part two, like what happens during the day, during the work. How do you get rid of or avoid those derailers and distractions? Anyway, why am I wearing a coat in my own house? If you live in Japan, sometimes it's colder in your house than outside. I have the heat on, but it hasn't warmed up yet. And just like clockwork, here come my kids. Have a good day. Hey, sweetie.